This presentation offers an introduction to issues related to academic integrity in online courses, and particularly some of the emerging technologies for proctoring tests and exams and for authenticating the identity of test takers. Obviously, integrity is as significant in online course delivery as it is in face-to-face settings. I'm not going to philosophize here about all the reasons why that is the case, but I do want to mention one thing. The business world depends upon academic credits and assessment as a way of verifying that applicants have the skills necessary to the tasks for which they are being hired. As students increasingly use online courses to develop those skills, it's utterly important that higher education maintain the credibility of its assessments if we're going to have the respect with the business community that we need. Given the absence of face-to-face contact in online teaching, academic dishonesty is a particular challenge in those settings. Indeed, one might assume that cheating is more prevalent in online courses. Dan Cabrera, writing for Northern Illinois University's Faculty Development Office, has surveyed the research on that topic. And interestingly enough, some of the research shows that cheating is actually less prevalent in online courses. However, the perception persists that it's a problem unique to this setting, and surely the challenges of maintaining integrity in this setting are distinct. Of course, there are a variety of ways that students cheat, whether the setting is traditional face-to-face delivery or the online setting. In some cases, the challenges to faculty are the same in both settings. That would seem to be the case where the issue is plagiarism or using paper writing services that students sometimes utilize. However, the opportunity that online students have to submit others' work as their own is much greater. How are we to know when we are not present to observe the taking of a test that the person taking the test is the person who has registered for the course and for whom we are providing an assessment? Or how are we to know whether the student is being aided in one way or another by another student who has already taken the test? Those things are particularly challenging in the online setting. One technique for online courses is to require students to take tests with authorized proctors on campus or at regional testing centers. That is the approach used at the University of Illinois. Mike McNett has written that students can be required to take midterm and final exams within a specified time frame, a week for example, at an on-campus testing facility where they are required to provide proof of identity. He goes on to note that Illinois-based online students have a network of 40 testing centers throughout the state to which they may go to take their tests. Now, obviously, such an approach undermines one of the advantages of online learning for many students. That is the elimination of the requirement to travel to campus or away from home and work. Of course, this requirement only requires them to do so for testing purposes. Dan Cabrera has offered a number of useful tips for reducing the impact of cheating on tests that do not require sophisticated technology. These tips don't require technology that goes beyond what's available on common course management systems like Blackboard. He suggests, for example, that we only use objective tests for very low stakes assessment. And of course, their usefulness is is limited by their association with the lowest levels on Bloom's famous taxonomy. He suggests mixing objective and subjective questions on tests, which he says limits the effect of possible shared information. He suggests the use of question pools, and certainly Blackboard, I believe, has this possibility. So we write large pools of questions, and then when students actually take the test, those questions are randomized so that each student gets a different test, thus reducing the possibility of cheating. He says that we should use a set timer feature in Blackboard that requires students to work very rapidly and thus minimizes their opportunity for looking up answers in notes or books. Mike McNett has noted that in addition to these ways of limiting the time in which tests can be taken, that some CMSs make it possible for an instructor to determine the time at which each question was answered by the students, and that this can be particularly useful for noting when two or more students are found to have given the same answer at the same time. And then a final idea of Dan Cabrera's is that we only allow the testing feature on Blackboard to display one question at a time. This minimizes the opportunity for students to do screenshots that they're able to pass on to each other. Of course, it only makes that more tedious and time-consuming for the student. Of course, all of this makes us aware that what we are doing is not eliminating cheating, but simply making it more difficult. Cabrera offers these useful tips when the issue is homework assignments rather than tests. He suggests application assignments that require research and regular journaling with faculty feedback on that journaling. He writes, both documentation of progress through regular status reporting and occasional faculty input can add a greater level of scrutiny to students, making it more difficult to pass off the work of others as their own. He also suggests group assignments that require students to describe each person's contribution to the group project. That's something we might think about incorporating into our own group assignments. He suggests assignments that require presentations in synchronous settings. Obviously, then we'll be able to see each person's work. And then he recommends some things that we're all familiar with, probably the use of plagiarism detection software and also discussion board assignments that require critical thinking with very clear rubrics. Cabrera notes that the use of rubrics that are specific to the assignment make it difficult for students to use portions of previous work and then applying it to the assignment in our class. Even as we begin to move to more technologically sophisticated mechanisms, some of that is available through a typical course management system. Mike McNett notes that fortunately such course management systems as WebCT and Blackboard have capabilities which make it possible to administer a proctored examination online. Tests can be structured to require the input of a proctor's ID as well as the student's ID so that the exam can't be started until the proctor, who knows the secret password, is present. It is also possible to limit access to a test to a specific computer at a specific internet access where a proctor can be present. I must say I'm not familiar with that particular service available through Blackboard. Remote proctoring seems to be one of the most readily available services through a variety of vendors. I want you first to see a 4-minute video which shows a journalist interviewing the vice president at a company called ProctorU about their remote proctoring service.
There are 3 concepts that you have to follow and 3 objectives you have to achieve every time you proctor an exam. You have to see the student, You have to see what they're doing, and you have to know who they are. That's the same thing they do in a classroom, and that's the exact same thing we're going to do online.
So how do you do that? It sounds like
So obviously
fairly
first,
intense.
Sorry, go ahead, Spencer. What was that?
It sounds as though that might be fairly people intense, labor intensive.
It can be, but we have a system worked out where students can work with a proctor. They only see one proctor, but our proctors can work with about 4 to 6 people at a time. They can manage that and be able to look. So we have a live person that's interacting with them over the webcam. We have them do a slow, careful pan around their surroundings with the camera, and then a pan of their workstation area, just to make sure they don't have any phones out, any papers out. Want to get a sense of where they are. And then we're going to very closely monitor their face, where their attention is, and exactly what it is that they're looking at.
So do you need an ID like a driver's license or something like that?
Right. So and that's the third step, right? So you're going to hold that up, perfect, and hold it a little closer to the camera.
Here's my ID.
There we go. Okay. Straighten it up for me there a little bit. Very good. You're going to get 4 questions. And I just need you to answer them as best you can, Spencer.
All right. So,
okay.
Which name is listed as a secondary owner of your residence? Okay. She would resent being called secondary. Which of the following telephone numbers have you ever been associated with? I don't think any of those.
Okay. Okay, scroll down. Prior zip code.
Prior zip code. Oh my God. I don't.
Let's do the best you can.
Okay.
Okay. All right, there you go. So the answer was none of the above on several of them. So you got 3 out of 4. That's passing for us.
Okay. So now you've authenticated who I am. Now, how do you know I'm not going to cheat on the exam? You're going to watch me the whole time?
How we know we're not going to cheat on the exam? We're going to watch you the whole time. We have you on the camera, and we can also see your computer screen.
You know, the world is full of hackers. Is there a way that people can get into this system and figure out a way to get around it and cheat?
Absolutely. Well, everybody tries to do that, and we have people attempt to do that every single day. Nothing is ever going to be cheat-proof, right? Even the classroom is not cheat-proof, and that's something that's very important for people to remember. The old way that everyone finds very comfortable in a classroom or in an auditorium, that's not cheat-proof either. That's where cheating was invented. And so we don't have to be absolutely cheat-proof in order for this to be a proper way to take an examination. What we have to be able to do is make it very, very difficult to cheat, and then be flexible enough that if we are told ahead of time that someone's going to try something, or we detect that someone is trying to do something, that we can react and stop it. The idea with ProctorU and with what Coursera is trying to do here is not to catch cheating, but to prevent cheating.
Answer this if you can. There is a course on Coursera that has 170,000 students taking the course. Now, they all aren't going to finish it, but still, if you have 50 or 60,000 students taking a course, how can you possibly proctor that many students?
It's great to be creating jobs in this economy, isn't it? We are very fastly growing. We doubled in size this year. We expect to at least double in size again next year. And we're opening our 3rd office in Sacramento in March, and should be offering our 4th one in the fall. So we're very excited about the growth.
Another company that provides remote proctoring services is called Criterion. This video shows their advertising for that service.
Your students live on the internet, and many want to be able to test online. Our online testing addresses the headaches of traditional methods, the challenge of students getting to the test and receiving the results quickly.
Criterion has developed online proctoring solutions that are the most secure, verified, and user-friendly.
We've been doing online testing for years. We know you're thinking 2 things. Will it be easy to use, and is it really secure? Our state-of-the-art online proctoring center eliminates technical issues and delivers satisfied students.
It was so easy to do from home, which saved time and gas. I'm so glad my school offers it.
Finally, technology is catching up with my lifestyle.
As a third-party provider, Criterion vets the proctors and moves the student through the process, which eliminates excuses. The results are less work for the professor, shortened test times, and better student appraisals.
Online courses are available at most institutions today, and online testing and proctoring is the natural next step.
Am I comfortable with the security of Criterion online testing? Absolutely. They check identification, and depending on our needs, they can monitor for aberrant behavior, protect my test questions from being copied, and more. We're very pleased with the usability and security Criterion offers. It's simple, easy, convenient, and secure. Convenient for the students, secure for the institution.
We invite you to discover what Criterion can offer your school for a range of online proctoring solutions. Bring your testing into the next generation.
This video from Criterion instructs students on how the remote proctoring service works for them.
Proctor 101 is a simple, universal, and affordable online proctoring system from Criterion, the leader in online secure testing. Let's see how it works. Step 1. Professor registration. The professor fills out a simple form including basic contact information, test aids allowed, exam password, and date range. And that's it. The exam is set up. Proctor 101 immediately provides the professor with the link to send to the student so they can schedule proctoring. Step 2. Student registration. Students use the link provided by the professor and choose a time and date to test. Payment is simple with PayPal, or the institution can be billed monthly and the student skips payment. The Proctor 101 support team confirms the time and date with the student via email and includes a link to launch Proctor 101. Step 3. Taking a proctored exam. After checking internet speeds, microphone, and webcam, the student downloads and launches Proctor 101. A certified proctor greets the student, verifies their identity, and launches the test session. Aberrant behavior is reported directly to the professor. It's that easy to set up, schedule, and take an exam with Proctor 101.
Another service confirms the identity of the person submitting the work through the analysis of typing or keystroke patterns. Check out this video from a company called Authenware.
Authenware's authentication technology determines whether the user of a given set of credentials is who he claims to be based on the typing rhythm of the user. Authenware is a second-factor authentication service based on keystroke dynamics technology and a wide set of heuristics. The service is used to prevent identity thieves from successfully logging into a system with the credentials they have stolen. Authenware's technology constructs, stores, and evolves a personal biometric pattern based on the way a person types credential data, such as their user ID and password, into a field, including their personal typing rhythm and many more behavioral and environmental characteristics. We call this biometric pattern the Authenware Singularity Pattern. After a certain number of training logins in which Authenware learns to recognize the user's typing nuances and creates the biometric pattern, Authenware can be called to verify a new login and determine if the user is who he claims to be.
Face recognition technologies are also available for confirming identity. This is a video from a company called Verylook. Unfortunately, it doesn't focus on academic applications of the technology, but I've not yet been able to find one that does. It's easy to imagine, of course, how this technology could be applied in the academic setting.
Verylook Surveillance SDK is used for the development of biometric software that performs face identification in live video streams from high-resolution digital surveillance cameras. The SDK is based on Verylook facial recognition technology and is used for passive biometric identification. That is, when passers-by are not required to actively look into a camera or interact with the device in order to be recognized. Verylook Surveillance enables the development of systems that are capable of real-time face detection, simultaneous tracking of multiple faces in live video, real-time face matching against watch lists, connection of multiple cameras and multiple servers into a single surveillance system. Verylook Surveillance SDK can be used in a wide range of applications, such as recognition of employees, clients, or other individuals visiting an office or other place of business. Advertising possibilities can also be based on Verilux Surveillance SDK, for example, counting the amount of time a person spends in front of a billboard. Another usage example would be recognition of unwanted visitors based on a watch list. Now, let's see how Verilux Surveillance SDK works. A person can be enrolled into the system from a still photo or video. The best recognition precision will be achieved when using the same environment as in the surveillance system. A face can be recognized when the image contains at least 40 pixels between the eyes. 75 pixels or more between the eyes is recommended. If possible, it is best to use several images during enrollment. This improves facial template quality, which results in better recognition quality and reliability. Several views of the same face from different angles can be enrolled into the database to cover a total of plus or minus 45 degrees of yaw range from the frontal position. Use of similar quality cameras is recommended for both enrollment and recognition. Using the exact same camera model is even better. 1 megapixel or better camera resolution is recommended for face enrollment and recognition. Make sure that the camera provides this level of native resolution, as some cameras or webcams may scale up native images to higher resolution without image quality improvement. It is recommended that the camera be able to take images at a rate of at least 10 frames per second. If less than 10 frames are captured, the face tracking feature may be not available. Cameras should be mounted in positions that enable faces to be captured from the front. The Verilux Surveillance Face Recognition Engine has a tolerance for face posture of plus or minus 180 degrees of roll, plus or minus 20 degrees of pitch, and plus or minus 45 degrees of yaw. It is best to have direct frontal or diffused light that allows equal lighting distribution on each side of the face and from top to bottom with no significant shadows within the face region. Avoid glare on skin or glasses that can be produced by some types of illumination. Neutral face expression during enrollment is recommended, as some facial expressions, such as smiling or frowning, may affect the accuracy of recognition. Several images with different appearance variants are recommended for enrollment to improve the quality of recognitions in situations when part of the face is covered with glasses or hair. Separate enrollments with and without glasses will assure the best recognition quality for both cases. Some hairstyles may cover parts of the face, thus hairpins or other means of holding hair off the face are recommended during enrollment. Changes in facial hair may require additional enrollments, especially when a beard or mustache is grown or shaved off. For more information, please visit our website www.neurotechnology.com.